Romeo Delta, taxi into position and hold behind the pickup. It's going northbound. Leave room for DC to get on the runway behind you. Roger. 44 Quebec's rolling north, just past the interstate. 44 Quebec. Remember 34 Mike, where do you want to mark?
As the Airbus A380 continued its historical world tour, this groundbreaking aircraft maintained its torrid pace with appearances at numerous major trade shows and airports around the world. During this time frame, multiple A380 airframes were conducting tests, including the critical route-proving trials and airport compatibility checks. These events marked many first-time appearances in new countries and at new airports to help demonstrate the aircraft's capabilities and to sell more planes to both prospective and existing customers. Air Utopia continued its global pursuit of the Airbus Super Jumbo and captured the visual details of these many visits. This series of events culminated with the delivery to Singapore Airlines of the first A380 that would operate the type's first commercial service to Sydney on October 25th, 2007. The Airbus A380 was the star of the 47th Paris Air Show. Held between June 18th and 24th, 2007, Le Bourget Airport in France once again did not disappoint with a wide variety of aircraft displayed at this world-famous trade show. The A3XX project was first showcased to the public at the 42nd Paris Air Show in 1997. 10 years later, and now with over 2 years of rigorous flight testing since its maiden flight, Airbus celebrated the world's largest aviation gathering by sending 2 of its 5 flight testing aircraft. Airbus MSN 009, powered by Engine Alliance GP7200 engines, took part in the flying display throughout the trade show, while MSN 007, fitted with a demonstration cabin, provided visitors a look inside the A380. The biannual trade fair is held at Le Bourget Airport, located just 7 miles northeast of Paris. This event always provides spectators with impressive flying displays, but few aircraft bring as much excitement to the show as the Airbus A380. In 2005, Air Utopia captured Airbus A380 MSN 001, making its first public appearance at the 46th Paris Air Show, with a modest daily 7-minute flying display. Since the A380 at the time had just less than 2 months of flight testing, the A380 made its entire flying display with its landing gear down and only cycled them up after the final flyby on Sunday, as it made its way back to home base in Toulouse, France. In 2007, the Airbus A380 flight crews were more than willing to show visitors the A380's impressive flight maneuverability. Despite the aircraft's size, the advanced Airbus fly-by-wire system allowed spectators to view the A380 performing slow and spectacular near-stall passes at extremely low altitudes. During the show, the Airbus A380 flight test team was awarded the prestigious Flight Award, recognizing the team displaying world-class professionalism in the manufacturing sector of propulsion, systems, or avionics. Airbus's highly trained flight crews were no stranger to extreme flying. Since the A380's testing, they had performed numerous potentially dangerous flights in the interest of certifying the aircraft. During the show, the European manufacturer received a staggering total of 425 firm orders from 19 customers, along with commitments for a total of 303 various Airbus models. The A380 itself received a firm order from Qatar Airways for an additional 3 airframes, taking their total commitment for the aircraft to 5. Emirates and Air France also both committed to acquiring 8 and 2 additional A380s respectively.
Pictures are coming back toward the les technologies de 4 réacteurs produits par General, des moteurs de entre une tonne de poussée chacun. Un avion qui pèse 200 parcourir pratiquement 15 000 km, c'est-à-dire de faire le tour du monde avec 2 escales intermédiaires, capable de transporter des carburants de masse 150 et que la version courte de l'avion, car ultérieurement une version à fuselage allongé sera mise en service. Cet avion, on l'a mesuré comme étant autre chose qu'un avion énorme, juste les architectes en avion actuellement. La bonne présentation, 1780 degrés, on installe l'avion sur une pente en montée assez phénoménale, on réduit, on pousse, on devrait passer tout de suite sur les roues de passage.
Nothing taken, this basic configuration designed to accommodate 555 passengers in 3 classes, length extensions of the aircraft with lengthened fuselage will help
été commandé au début de ce salon avec 35 options. C'est un avion qui, encore une fois, débute sa carrière. Il sera bientôt, en quelques mois, il sera mis en service. Et à partir de ce moment-là débutera sa véritable existence, si on peut dire, à savoir la confrontation avec le monde de la réalité, avec les passagers. Encore une fois, tous ceux qui ont pu expérimenter le vol à bord de cet avion, en ce qui concerne les paysages, par exemple, cette année,
l'avion s'arrêtera aux alentours de 1300-1400 mètres de mouvement avec des continents de haute gelée noyés, voici les 300 mètres.
On the morning of August 31, 2007, Airbus A380 test aircraft carrying the registration FWWJB and with the MSN of 007, landed at Bangkok's new international airport as part of an 8-day tour across Asia, including Hong Kong, Vietnam, and South Korea. This visit represented the second time that an Airbus A380 visited Bangkok, with the first visit taking place on December 5, 2006, when test aircraft MSN 002 made a special appearance as part of the commemorations for the King of Thailand's 79th birthday. Bangkok's new international airport is home to Thailand's national carrier Thai Airways International, the second largest airline in Southeast Asia. Thai Airways is a longtime Airbus customer and will become a super jumbo operator when it receives the first of 6 Rolls-Royce A380 aircraft, which are expected to arrive in 2012. The airline plans to deploy the A380 on its most popular routes, linking Bangkok with Frankfurt, London, and Paris. During this visit, the aircraft underwent airport compatibility checks to confirm the A380's readiness to operate from the airfield. The aircraft also provided a very excited group of Thai Airways staff the opportunity to see the world's largest commercial airplane up close. The following morning, A380 MSN 007 was scheduled to depart at 9:45 a.m. local time on a quick round trip to Thailand's northern city of Chiang Mai. The flight was unexpectedly delayed for more than 4 hours when the left wingtip fence of the aircraft was damaged when it hit a maintenance building. The incident occurred when the aircraft was being towed from its parking position to the runway for departure. After carefully assessing the damage, Airbus technicians decided the best course of action was to remove both wingtip fences and to carry on with the Asian tour. Wingtip fences are designed to save fuel by reducing the aircraft's drag near the wingtips, but the aircraft can be operated safely without them. With a distance of only 435 miles separating Bangkok and Chiang Mai, Airbus and Thai Airways arranged a domestic same-day return flight between the two cities. The unique-looking Airbus A380, without its standard wingtip fences, finally landed after a 4-hour delay at 14:30, where it was welcomed with traditional Thai hospitality and ceremonial dances. Chiang Mai Airport is located 4 kilometers southwest of downtown Chiang Mai, Thailand's second largest city. It is surrounded by lush, mountainous landscapes, which are among some of the highest points in the country. MSN 007 is a Rolls-Royce Trent 900 powered aircraft equipped with a full passenger cabin and configured with 520 seats in a 3-class layout. The demonstration cabin has been extensively tested under typical airline conditions by Airbus employees and other guests. These exercises helped Airbus determine areas in which alterations may have to be taken in order to deliver a mature product prior to entry into regular airline service. With little more than 2 hours spent at Chiang Mai, and after the special luncheon and news conference had taken place, MSN 007 departed at 16:45 for its return to Bangkok. The world's largest passenger airplane made its first ever appearance in Vietnam when it landed at 10:35 a.m. on September 2, 2007 at Hanoi's Noi Bai International Airport. Hanoi is the capital of Vietnam, with the city being located on the banks of the Red River, 1,100 miles north of Ho Chi Minh City, better known as Saigon. It ranks as the country's second largest city with an estimated population of over 6 million residents. Noi Bai International Airport is the largest airport in northern Vietnam. The airport is located 28 miles from the city's downtown and originally built for the Vietnamese Air Force use. Only in 1975, following the reunification of Vietnam, did Noi Bai Airport become an international public airport while maintaining its military purposes. The airport is equipped with 2 paved runways, runway 11 right and 29 left, and runway 11 left and 29 right are both over 12,000 feet long, and a modern new main terminal building opened in October 2001. During the A380's visit to Hanoi, Airbus provided 230 passengers a 75-minute flight in order to demonstrate its capability in playing a future role within Vietnamese aviation. With a population of over 85 million, Vietnam will likely become a key destination for various A380 operators, and it was announced in late 2009 that Vietnam Airlines was to become a future A380 operator when it signed an agreement for 4 Super Jumbos.
Anh xuống ngay lưu ý, rất nhẹ. 4 cái 4 cuộn. Dừng lại một cái là bánh người thanh ăn nhỉ? Hãm vào ngoài ngoài. Ngon nhìn đây được. Nó hạ cánh là bắt đầu nó đưa cánh dừng hẳn cảm quay lên ngày sập cũng tỏ thật mà.
So do we know who will eventually buy it? Come on.
พาคนไปนะให้ดู
Quay camera. Cái gì?
The A380's last stop on this Asian tour was Seoul, South Korea on September 6, 2007. Korean Air hosted 2 demonstration flights, and the airline's management, journalists, and invited guests had the opportunity to see the A380 up close and personal. Korean Air is among the group of launch customers for the Super Jumbo, with an outstanding order for 10 frames. The airline is expected to receive its first Engine Alliance-powered aircraft in the fourth quarter of 2010. In doing so, the airline will become the world's 6th operator of the type, following Singapore Airlines, Emirates, Qantas, Air France, and Lufthansa. Asiana Airlines, South Korea's second-largest airline and a likely future operator of the type, also had the opportunity to experience the gentle giant for themselves. This was before the aircraft would depart on its way back home to Toulouse, France. Once again, the A380 impressed the 180 VIP guests who took part in the flight demonstration. During this tour, Airbus continued to advertise the world's largest commercial airplane, which typically can accommodate 525 passengers in 3 classes, as one of the quietest aircraft in the sky.
보안 규정에 따라 항공기 탑승 시 탑승권을 확인하고 있으니 승무원에게 탑승권을 지시해 주셔야 됩니다. 수리를 하는 앞쪽에
즐거운 여행 되십시오. 감사합니다.
On the 26th of September 2007, following a 10-hour, 36-minute flight from Toulouse, France, MSN 009 landed at Bogotá's El Dorado International Airport at 11:26 a.m., where it was greeted by a welcoming crowd and saluted by airport firemen. During the two-day visit, it was put through various tests to check the behavior of the aircraft in a high-altitude environment. Bogotá's El Dorado Airport is ideally located for such tests and is among the highest elevated airports in the world, with an altitude of 2,600 meters. The Airbus A380 embarked on its second U.S. tour in October 2007 to proudly show off the new Engine Alliance GP7200 engine to the country where it was produced. The original tour, captured by Air Utopia, featured a Rolls-Royce-powered aircraft making first-ever appearances at New York JFK, Los Angeles LAX, Chicago O'Hare, and Washington Dulles International Airports. This second U.S. tour would take the aircraft to Hartford, Cincinnati, as well as San Francisco International Airport. On October 2, 2007, MSN 009, powered by 4 Engine Alliance GP7200 engines, landed for the first time at Bradley International Airport, located near Hartford, Connecticut. This special visit was to pay tribute to the employees of Pratt & Whitney, who have a 50% joint venture with General Electric Aircraft Engines in manufacturing the Engine Alliance GP7200 engine, derived from the GE90 and PW4000 engine programs, with the addition of many new technologies. Formed in August 1996, the main application for such an engine was originally for the Boeing 747-500 and 747-600X projects before being canceled due to the lack of demand. The state-of-the-art high-bypass GP7200 turbofan engine has so far been chosen by Emirates, the world's largest customer for the A380, along with Air France, Korean Air, and the leasing company ILFC. The Rolls-Royce Trent 900 engine, which was the launch engine for the A380, has in turn been selected by Singapore Airlines, along with Qantas, Lufthansa, Virgin Atlantic, British Airways, Thai International, Malaysian Airlines, and His Royal Highness Prince Al Walid bin Talal of Saudi Arabia for his personal VIP A380, known as the Flying Palace.
Sir, contact ground 121.9er. Good morning.
Out of the N1219. Good morning, Airbus. FedEx 3621 Heavy's ready when you can get us out. FedEx 3621 Heavy, drive tower runway 6, wind calm, turn right heading 075, clear for takeoff. Wind calm 075, we're cleared for takeoff runway 6, FedEx 3621 Heavy, the other Airbus. FedEx 3621, can we have about a minute on the railway, please?
FedEx 3621 Heavy, approved as requested.
Thanks, sir. We'll tell you when we're wrong. contact twice one. 3621 Heavy departure position. American 941, all ready to go. American 941 Valley turn runway 6, the wind is calm. After departure, turn heading 0905, clear for takeoff. 095 after departure, clear for takeoff on 6, American 941. American 941, contact trash 1. Oh, good.
Here in Connecticut, we actually think the engines are the most important part of the airplane. Now, those in Toulouse probably have a different opinion, but we are in Connecticut. The engines and the Engine Alliance are a product of a venture between GE Aviation and Pratt & Whitney. Now, when you put those two corporate names together, that says a lot about the collaborative nature of our business. There probably aren't two more fierce competitors in business today than GE and Pratt & Whitney. But starting in 1996, we forged a close-knit, successful joint venture, and it's produced an engine that's met or exceeded all the things we promised Airbus right from the very beginning. So the engine is better for the joint venture than either one of us could have done separately. Our first speaker for today is Michael Fedeli. Michael Fedeli is the 107th Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut.
It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of Governor Rao and myself. I welcome Airbus America's President Barry Eccleston, the rest of the Airbus team, and this beautiful airplane to the state of Connecticut. As Bruce mentioned, we are proud to have this plane here for a number of reasons. One, the engines. The engines are made in a joint venture with Connecticut companies, again showing Yankee innovation in the creation of this beautiful plane. And obviously, as Bruce said, the engines do play a very integral part of this airplane. And we're happy to see it here, and we are glad that you've chosen Connecticut companies to be part of this incredible airplane, and look forward to much success in the future. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Joan McDonald. Joan is the Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development.
Thank you, everybody. I'm truly proud to be part of today's ceremony and want to congratulate Airbus on the new A380. And it really is truly a magnificent piece of equipment, and we are looking forward to its future in the U.S. and around the globe. I want to express my great appreciation to Airbus for their ongoing support of Connecticut-based company. For example, some of you may not be aware, but Connecticut was the #1 state in terms of Airbus spending in the U.S. in 2006, with over $3 billion being awarded to our aerospace suppliers. And that speaks volumes to all of us about Connecticut's aerospace supply chain, from the large suppliers like Pratt & Whitney, Hamilton Sundstrand, to the small companies located throughout the state. These companies continue to demonstrate that they are dependable, innovative, and focused on creating quality products for their customers.
We're thrilled to be here today as one of the largest system suppliers on their newest and spectacular airplane that's in back of me here, the A380. At more than $2.5 million worth of systems content per airplane, this is clearly Hamilton Sundstrand's largest airplane program, and while I know the airplane looks lovely and the engines are spectacular, it's really what inside that counts. It's the systems in the airplane. And everything about these systems is big. One of our systems that Todd mentioned that we did in partnership with Pratt & Whitney, the auxiliary power unit that's located in the tail of the airplane in back of me, generates enough power to power about 65 homes right here in Windsor Locks. Similarly, the air conditioning system and cooling system that we provide for the airplane that not only cools the passengers, but also provides the cooling for the food in the galleys. The ram air turbine we provide here that would get deployed in the event that emergency power is lost on the aircraft has a 5-foot wingspan, far and away the largest ram air turbine ever designed and flying in an airplane today. And we're also proud of some of the other equipment we have, including some of the cockpit controls, the throttle quadrants, the side stick, and other elements in the cockpit. We have the fire detection and suppression system. We also, back in the tail of the airplane, have a thing called the horizontal tail actuator. It generates about 128,000 pounds of force that controls the horizontal tail of this airplane and helps the airplane to fly, part of the primary flight control system for the airplane. And we're also proud, as Bruce mentioned, to be a supplier for the Engine Alliance here with a number of the engine control system components for the GP7000. So, as you can see, we've invested a lot in this airplane. We've got a lot flying and invested and riding on the A380. It's the largest, obviously, commercial airplane ever built. It's an incredible accomplishment, the result of really imagination, skill, endurance, and strength with great companies involved like Airbus, the Engine Alliance, and I'm proud to say Hamilton Sundstrand. And we're really proud to see the vision fulfilled today with the A380 here at Bradley Airport.
And last but not least is our fabulous crew that flew this wonderful plane over here. Although I'm told it's very easy to fly, so I don't know. Maybe it's not as hard as I thought, but it looks hard anyway. And, thanks to the flight crew. They've done a tremendous job on the flight test program, which has been going on for 13 months now, almost 14 months. They've been fantastic.
Parameters which are recorded, we can look at them to have the trace on paper. We have some cameras.
following day, General Electric Aircraft Engines employees were also treated to a special visit from MSN 009. Following a low-altitude flyover of the GE plant in Cincinnati, giving employees the opportunity to see the engines in action, the aircraft made its way to Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport, where it landed on runway 18 left. The aircraft ceremoniously then taxied to the Airborne Express cargo ramp located on the south end of the airport. Hundreds of visitors, which included Ohio and Kentucky delegations and various company executives, had a chance to take a tour. Airbus completed the A380's second U.S. tour to the United States on October 4, 2007, when San Francisco International Airport welcomed the giant airliner for the first time. San Francisco's new modern international terminal was built to accommodate new generation large aircraft such as the A380, and became the first U.S. airport to be ready to accommodate the aircraft's extra-large dimensions. The 24-gate terminal has 5 gates specifically dedicated to the A380, with 3 of these gates offering double loading bridges, while the remaining 2 have triple loading bridges on 2 levels. This allows the A380's passenger load of 500-plus people to be quickly and conveniently loaded or unloaded in approximately 40 minutes. The terminal also includes larger check-in areas, as well as expanded baggage carousels to enable airlines to offer their passengers the same quick service as with any other type of aircraft. The A380 also took the opportunity to make a historical Golden Gate Bridge flyby, since it had performed similar maneuvers in other cities including Washington, D.C., Rio de Janeiro, Sydney, and Hong Kong.
almost Captain Frank Chapman, who just flew the A380 into San Francisco. Actually, Captain, where else have you been?
Well, I landed in Kuala Lumpur on that first flight into Kuala Lumpur. But on this trip, we decided we wanted to take the airplane to the engine manufacturer, Engine Alliance, so to the Pratt & Whitney plant and to the General Electric plant to show the employees the product of many years of hard work. For a big airplane, it's remarkably simple to fly. It's very similar in terms of interface to our previous family of aircraft, so 320, 330, 340. It's remarkably maneuverable for such a large aircraft. You appreciate the size on the ground, but once you're in the air, it's very light and agile.
In late September 2007, Airbus embarked on a series of 4 tours as part of the A380's technical route proving trials for the Engine Alliance GP7200 powered aircraft. During the certification exercise, the A380 accumulated more than 150 hours of typical airline continuous operations while visiting multiple airports in North and South America, the Middle East, and the Asia-Pacific region. Dubai in the United Arab Emirates became the first and last destination during the 3rd stage of the technical route proving of the Airbus A380. MSN 009 was the sole test aircraft powered by Engine Alliance GP7200 engines, and this was a fitting aircraft to make these visits since Emirates is the single largest customer for both the A380 and the Engine Alliance power plants. Plane spotters had to make a quick dash to Melbourne Airport Wednesday, October 10th, as the world's largest passenger aircraft touched down 40 minutes ahead of schedule as it made its way from Dubai on the route proving tour. Arriving at 1100 hours, this was the A380's second visit to Australia's second most populous city. Melbourne, along with Sydney, will see regular A380 service once the aircraft enters commercial service. The route proving tour is primarily aimed at validating the aircraft as being ready for service. Route proving stops are also used for testing airport infrastructures supporting A380 regular service under normal airline operating conditions. During this short visit down under, Airbus was able to complete another round of successful airport compatibility tests. These tests confirmed Melbourne International Airport was ready and able to handle the A380 when Qantas and other airlines later utilized this airport for routes to Los Angeles and the rest of the world. A380 MSN 009 would depart the following morning for Manila at 800 hours. MSN 009 was now on its way to a set of new destinations in the Philippines. During its 2-day visit to this 7,107-island nation, the A380 made 2 stops. The first was in Ninoy Aquino International Airport, where it arrived on October 11th at 14:45 hours. Ninoy Aquino is located 7 kilometers from Manila city center, and the airport serves as the main international gateway to the country and is home to Philippine Airlines, Cebu Pacific, and many other diverse carriers. The aircraft and its proud Airbus crew were greeted with the warmth of Filipino hospitality and the usual press conference formalities. On the second day of the A380's visit to the Philippines, MSN 009 made a short flight to neighboring airport, the Asado Mahacapel International Airport. The airport also is known as Clark Airport, located 50 miles from Ninoy Aquino International Airport. The airport was developed from the old U.S. military's Clark Air Base, which was closed in 1991 when the U.S. pulled out following the eruption of Mount Pinatubo. The airport is situated in the Clark Special Economic Zone near Angeles City on the island of Luzon. Following an extensive cleanup that lasted 2 years after the volcano erupted, the airport was finally able to reopen in 1993. Although currently utilized primarily by numerous low-cost Asian airlines, the former Air Force Base is expected to ease the burden on busy Ninoy Aquino International Airport by providing another option as gateway to this ever-growing Asian metropolis. MSN 009 made its way to the airport escorted by United States Air Force FA-18 Hornet jets to commemorate what was deemed the most prestigious visitor to the airport to date. The U.S. fighters happened to be at Clark to participate in the joint U.S.-Philippine military exercise codenamed Talon Vision and Amphibious Landing Exercise. Piloted by Captain Peter Chandler and co-pilot Captain Bernard Lucian, the A380 made several low-altitude flying passes with the presence of the F-18s. The combination of the mammoth-size A380, along with the impressive exhibition of power and speed of the FA-18s, dazzled the thousands of spectators who made their way to the airport to commemorate that special event. Upon arrival, a special ceremony including local dancers and drummers welcomed the crew, and a brief press conference followed. It was the local dancers in exotic locations such as the Philippines, Malaysia, and Thailand which helped add a special flavor to the A380 World Tour. These ceremonies were previously reserved for VIP visits, including the likes of the Boeing 747 and Concorde, and now the Airbus A380 could consider herself welcome in this distinguished company of some of aviation's greatest achievements.
would like to announce the arrival of the Airbus A380 Super Jumbo Jet.
Oh my gosh! It can do that! Nakakagilid siya! Oo, ang galing mo. Ay, ba't sa kanan?
Presently serving Boeing 747s. Presently, the Airbus A380 has 173 orders from 14 customers. Major airline customers include Singapore Airlines, Emirates, British Airways, Qatar Airways, and other legacy carriers. It is envisioned to house in-flight casinos, bars, and duty-free shops for the comfort and convenience of passengers. Upon landing, the Airbus A380 will be parked on the main ramp of the Diosdado Macapagal International Airport, or DMIA. The DMIA was also host to the US C-17 Starlifter, the biggest cargo carrier, the Russian-made Antonov Condor 124. Of the Airbus A382 will be welcomed on the airside by SIAC executives headed by Mr. Victor Jose Luciano, SIAC President and CEO, Chairman Nestor S. Manio, CDC President and CEO, Mr. Liberato D. Taos, SIAC Executive Vice President Alexander S. Correa, Secretary Edgardo Pangilinan, and Governor Edwin Vigo. We would like to repeat that all guests are requested to stay on the land side while we establish our security cordon. With a height of 7 to 9 feet, Airbus A380 is equivalent to an 8-story building, and with a wingspan of 262 feet, equivalent to the size of a football field. It is a full-size double-decker aircraft, which can accommodate 850 passengers at one time, and certified for 525 passengers.
911 days separated the Airbus A380's first flight on that memorable Wednesday morning of April 27, 2005, and the official handover of the first aircraft to launch customer Singapore Airlines on October 15, 2007. Following the ceremony, Singapore Airlines A380 departed on its long delivery flight. This delivery of the first A380 marked the beginning of a new chapter for civil commercial aviation. Singapore Airlines' first A380 made a long approach before touching down on runway 20 right at 1840 hours in the evening of Wednesday, October 17, 2007, at its new home. This was just a few days ahead of its historic first revenue commercial flight to Sydney, Australia on October 25th. Although December 15, 2009 started as any other fall day in northwestern Washington state, it would prove to be an important date in the history of aviation. A new aircraft known as the 787 Dreamliner would attempt to take to the skies on its maiden voyage from Kane Field, Everett, and after a 4-hour test flight returned safely to Boeing Field near Seattle. It was estimated that there were over 25,000 people witnessing the event in person. But for today to go down in history as the new dawn of commercial aviation, the Dreamliner would have to get off the ground. Enjoy the action at the headquarters of one of the premier world aircraft manufacturers today. Welcome to the Airbus factories. Phuket International Airport is the main point of entry to the island and caters to the needs of this thriving tourist industry. The airport operates 24 hours a day and handles almost 3 million passengers and 12,000 tons of cargo yearly, ranking second in the country in both statistics. Located 32 kilometers from the heart of Abu Dhabi City, Abu Dhabi International Airport had 9 million passengers pass through it in 2008 and has continued to increase since. The airport connects Abu Dhabi with destinations in North America, the Arabic Peninsula, Europe, the Middle East region, the Indian subcontinent, Africa, Oceania, and Asia. Welcome to Abu Dhabi International Airport. When the first Lockheed L-188 Electra took to the skies in 1957, it made history as the first turboprop airliner to be produced in the USA. This aircraft marked a major turning point in aviation history at a time when a major technological leap was reaching maturity. We are honored to be able to offer you one last chance to fly aboard this historic aircraft for another exciting Air Utopia Classic cockpit experience. Originally manufactured by General Dynamics, this successful fighter is manufactured by the Lockheed Martin Corporation, who purchased General Dynamics in 1993. Used by the U.S. Air Force and over 24 countries, the F-16 is also the most widely exported Western-built fighter in the world. This program is an honorary tribute to the brave men and women and relentless heroes who provide the global security for the world today.
Good laser. Good track. Bombs away. Lasers fired. Shack. Bombs away.
Altitude.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, I'll go for the southwest building, Tex or Elvis 4-2. Shack on, good hits, good secondaries. Good God, man. Atta boy. 6-3, you ready to play?
Oh, yeah.
Shack on, long 6-1. Nice hit, man. Shack on again, brother. Nice job.
When the United States Air Force announced the need for a replacement of its KC-97 Stratotanker, Boeing introduced what would be the world's first jet-powered aerial refueling tanker. This great plane would make aviation history, originating in the form of the Boeing -80, which would later spawn two of the most important civilian and military aircraft programs of all time, the Boeing 707 and the KC-135 Stratotanker. Air Utopia welcomes you on board for a personal flight training experience. You are about to fly the Cessna 152 as we undertake a training flight in the experienced and capable hands of Arne Krutov. The aircraft that our pilots will be operating today is a Cessna 152 that carries the registration November 463 Tango Charlie. It is fitted with a 110 horsepower Lycoming flat-forward engine. The Cessna 172 is, without a doubt, one of the most important light airplanes of all time and has probably helped produce more pilots than any other aircraft. In the training seat is a Florida Flight Training Center student with lofty goals of flying commercially in the near future. The aircraft today is a Cessna Skyhawk 172R, carrying the registration of November 434 Echo Papa, a staggering total of over 43,000. There are few light aircraft in the skies today that are as admired as the Mooney M20. The first thing that grabs the casual observer is the aircraft's stunning looks and very unique appearance. Based on the high-performance figures, it should come as no surprise that it is not the type of aircraft that a flying school will entrust to a new student during their initial training. It is, however, an excellent airplane to teach the experienced student the intricacies of handling a complex single-engine aircraft. Over the years, the Seneca has proven to be an excellent airplane to teach more advanced flying students the intricacies of handling a multi-engine aircraft. The cockpit is much more complex, giving our student pilot even more to think about as he transitions to this sophisticated twin-engine aircraft. In the hands of a mature student or a seasoned pilot, the Seneca can be a very enjoyable airplane to fly. But if an engine issue was to suddenly arise, it's an aircraft that can eat a pilot up fast if they haven't received the proper training.